Hello everyone, bringing you another unboxing video today. A big thanks to Im Parker once again for sending me some bits and pieces from the US. There's a mix of bits and pieces arriving in this, some of which I know, some of which I'm not certain of. So without further ado, we'll get into the main part of the video and have a look at what's arrived.
So without further ado, we'll get this opened up and see what's arrived. I've undone the tape on the end here, as I normally do, just to cut down on noise and so forth. Right, what have we got in the top here? Aha! So this is a 1967, September 1967 copy of Time magazine with President Thieu of Vietnam on the cover there. This is part of my sort of expanding of small kit, personal items for the Australian and New Zealand involvement in Vietnam. Time magazine shows up in a couple of photographs I've seen, so I thought this was a particularly appropriate cover, particularly appropriate edition of it, given I'm going to probably focus my display next time, at least the small kit element, around 1967 in terms of the magazines and bits and pieces which are on display. See, very typical cigarette advert of the time period on the back there. But copy of Time magazine there. That's one I purchased that Ian's very kindly put in with this lot for me, so thank you very much, Ian. So what else do we have in here? Well, first thing, look here, we have a US field cap. Now this is a gift from Ian. Thank you very much for this, Ian. Look in here, very nice crisp printing on the inside here. So cap field cotton M951, obviously part of the cold weather kit introduced for Korea, or the new combat uniform, I guess you could say, introduced for Korea, new field uniform, size 7. And then we do have a date down here, 1953, May 1953. Wool lining, of course, to the, we've got a little flap here that comes down to keep the back of the neck and the ears warm. It's actually a wool mix, I think. Oh, here you go, wool cotton, 80-20. So it's a 80-20% mix of cotton and wool there, wool and cotton rather. Lovely thing, very nice condition. Thank you for that, Ian. And then we have an early, I believe an early US BDU jacket. Let's have a look here. So the label is completely washed out, unfortunately. This is quite heavily faded, as you can see. It's obviously seen a lot of use. You see the difference in colour here where the name tape has been, but nevertheless a lovely thing, and it looks to be my size just looking at it. So you have the US Army tape here. Move this box a little bit further over, out of the way. US Army tape there, and then the standard parachute qualification. And then, oh, that's nice. I can't remember the division off the top of my head, but we do have a Ranger tab there at the top, which is lovely. Seeing the subdued insignia, which you would expect from this time period, of course, but a lovely thing. Thank you very much indeed for that, Ian. Again, that's a gift from Ian. Thank you very much indeed. Right, what else do we have in here? Okay, we have a US equipment belt. Is this LC1 or LC2? LC2, you can see on the label there. It comes up into focus. Size large, so that's quite significantly adjusted down, as you can see, right down to the 3 eyelets on the back there. So we'll just see, this might actually fit me as it is. Let's try that. Yep, that fits me adjusted right down like that, so I'll probably have to keep it like that. But that's fantastic, Ian. Thank you very much. Beautiful condition, unused, unissued by the look of it. Alice Gear LC1, LC2 is not impossible to find in the UK. I know it's very common in the US. It's essentially surplus, but over here it's not as common, so that's a nice thing to have. Thank you very much indeed. We have here another M1 helmet cover in, looks like late Erdl material rather than BDU. Let's have a look on here. There we go. So 1980 dated, the DLA there, I believe. And that's always nice to have more helmet covers, not only for US use. The Canadians, of course, did use US covers of various different patterns. Certainly they held on to the vine leaf covers for quite a long time, and then you do see Erdl and BDU pattern, the Woodland, excuse me, pattern helmet covers used later on as well. So that's useful not only from a US point of view, but from Canadian point of view as well, in terms of Canadian kit. Right, so we've got a couple of leather items in here. We have, first of all, a reproduction magazine pouch for the 1911. Got 2 magazines in there, as you can see. Nice quality reproduction. I probably will try and pick up an original of one of these at some point, but I wanted one in nice condition, and these were a good price. And it's for Australian, well, primarily New Zealand military police use in Vietnam. The New Zealanders seem to have used sort of the full little set of US leather accoutrements, including the holster, magazine pouch, and this, which is the dressing pouch, all worn on M956 Belt, which was blackened. So there is an M956 Belt in there somewhere. I purchased both of these to make that setup, put that together. It's a very smart look. Even the brasses on the belt, including the eyelets, were polished up, or at least kept clean, so rather than being blackened. So it's an interesting look. It's a nice look. I like it, and it'll look good on a mannequin, I think, going forward at events to display. This is not in bad condition. It could do with a bit of a clean up. Again, the lifter dot will actually be cleaned up as well. Not sure if these are actually brass, but we'll see whether that can be cleaned up as well. But should look nice together anyway. Right, so we have a big cargo strap in here, a big nylon cargo strap. Now, see, this has a slide pin here. I know in I know in British use, obviously, that cargo straps like this were often converted into belts. Seen as a bit of a special forces thing, but it's actually not uncommon to see. It's not by any means the thing you see everyone doing, but it's not uncommon. It does crop up quite regularly in photographs, and also with Anzac troops in Vietnam as well. Now, I don't know if the US did that with these, but this is obviously a big nylon cargo strap, so I'll have to ask Ian about that. But thank you very much, Ian. That's another item that he's gifted to me. And another part of the Alice system, of course, we have here the dressing pouch. It's opened up. Nice clear stamp in there on the nylon. These often wear away, but it is LC1, as you can see, and we actually have a date of 74 there, so this is very early production Alice, sort of standardized after all, you know, the M967 and the Linklo program. This is a standardized version that came out at the end of that, so obviously very ubiquitous, used all over the place. And we have in here, now I'm going to have to remind myself, linesman's pouch, I think. I'll have to double check that. I do know what these are somewhere at the back of my mind. I have seen, you know, I've been involved in discussions with these online, talking about what these are previously, where they've cropped up. But that's a British webbing pouch. Interesting fittings on the back there, just to show. 1950 dated. Yes, I'll put a pinned comment down below when I double check what this is, because I, as I say, I have come across these before. I just can't quite remember off the top of my head. Okay, next bit in here, another thing from Ian. That was something Ian sent me as a gift. Thank you very much, Ian. As is this. I think this is a sleep shirt. Yeah, shirt sleeping man's nylon triacetate. So it's a 1969 dated one. So it's the nylon sleep shirt. I believe these were quite popular and worn not just for sleeping. It has a sort of faux pile lining in there, as you can see. Quite similar to more modern sort of soft clothing for wear, you know, insulating layers to be worn underneath combat uniform and so forth. It's somewhat akin to that, though obviously designed as a sleep shirt, designed as a form of nightwear. But yes, that's a lovely thing, unissued again by the look of it. Thank you, Ian. Fantastic. An interesting bit of kit, something I've read about and seen, but not ever had an example of. Something I've purchased that Ian sent over to me is a green plastic carry handle for the SLR. Now these are quite distinctive of Australian SLRs, quite a distinctive bit of kit. I believe introduced around 1965. So very useful to have one of these for dressing up my Aries Airsoft SLR for Australian or Anzac. Vietnam used them, New Zealanders used them as well. And they were used, well, the SLR was still in use just into the early 90s. And by then, most of them, in fact, I think all of them would have had the green plastic carry handle. So it makes mine a bit more versatile from that point of view. The majority by then would also have had the laminated front handguards, but finding a set of those is rather difficult. They're quite hard to find and expensive when they do turn up. So I might just stick with the plastic carry handle at least for now. So that's superb. Thanks for sending that over, Ian. And we've got a few more bits in here. Let's have a look here. So, the oval carabiner, ubiquitous in Vietnam, often seen. US stamp there, as you can see, and I think there is a date. The other way up, sorry, there we go. 72, way up, 1972. I think most of the ones that turn up are dated 72. So thank you for that, Ian. I've been looking for one of these for a while, and Ian very kindly found me one. Thank you very much indeed for that. The CD here in a paper case. Oh, right, fantastic. So Armed Forces Vietnam Network radio broadcasts. Superb. I actually have, my uncle collects old radios, and he's actually putting me to get, well, he's got me a 60s radio, a Zenith, if I remember correctly, and it has an input for well, we've got a system worked out where you actually get a Bluetooth device which will take your Bluetooth feed from your phone and actually broadcast it as an FM band. And because the Zenith will pick up FM, I can actually broadcast from my phone. I could put the MP3s onto my phone and run my own little broadcast that the radio will pick up. So it's not invasive at all. You don't have to modify the radio, which is rather nice. So that will be very useful for that. Thank you very much, Ian. Right, I have to tip this forward, I think, and get some of the other bits to come down. Oh wow, I wasn't expecting these. Let's have a look here. Typical, just as I get the dark items out of the box, the light's going. Let's see, which way can I get the other way up, sorry. So we've got meal ready to eat, individual. I think these are 90s era. And these were used by, well, both menu number 7, accessory packet A. Right, so yeah, menu number 7, beef stew, accessory packet A. Right, okay. And these were, the printing's nice and clear on this one. It's slightly lighter packaging as well, it's a little easier to see. These, as we've covered in interviews, talking about service in the Gulf, British Army serving in the Gulf, these were used by British troops as well. So it's nice to have those. Obviously, I do have an example of a late 80s, early 90s British ration pack in the collection, and so it's nice to have the US equivalent, which were also used by British troops. Very different, of course. Ours still coming in the cardboard box at the time, these in the plastic packaging, and obviously already with the boil in the bag or heat in the bag rations, as opposed to the tins and so forth, which were still being used by the British Army at the time. So fantastic. Thank you very much for both of those, Ian. That's brilliant. Right, and a few more little bits and pieces. We have the M956 Belt I mentioned. This is the one that's going to be cleaned up. You can see all the brasses are already pretty much bare, all the eyelets and everything. And this is going to be blackened, so this will be worn with the leather pistol ammunition pouch, the dressing pouch, and a US 1911 holster as the basic sort of New Zealand military police kit at the time. Very common to see in period photographs, and it looks very smart. So that's going to be used for that. As you can see, it's not in pristine condition, so I don't mind. It's quite worn and so forth. I don't mind using it for that purpose. And as I say, the brasses are already nicely worn, which makes my job easier in terms of cleaning them up. And there's some more woodland kit in the bottom here. Right, let's have a look. I think that's everything, so I'll just stand the box up out of the way over there. Okay, so we've got a... Oh, wow. Thank you, Ian. A woodland M65 combat jacket, or field jacket rather. I've used combat jacket in combat smock in British terminology, of course it isn't. It's a field jacket. Oh, so cold weather field at this point. So that's slightly different terminology. Obviously ripstop lining there to it. It was introduced in the 60s and then used right the way through, made in the woodland camouflage. A lovely thing, nice with the nylon subdued tape there. No insignia on the arm or anything, but that's superb. Thank you, Ian. I was not expecting that. That's really nice. I have a pair of the BDU trousers in woodland from this time period on watch on eBay, so I'll be picking those up at some point just to complete the set. It's a nice set of uniform. I would like to do some comparisons from the 80s of kit and so forth, so this will be very useful for that, as will the BDU uniform itself as well, of course. So thank you very much indeed, Ian, for this wonderful treasure trove that's arrived. It's always great getting these boxes and being able to go through all the kit. So thank you very much once again. It's extremely generous and much appreciated. Thank you.
So there we are. Thank you very much once again, Ian. Fantastic collection of bits and pieces there. And as I say, it's one of the, I guess one of the biggest pleasures in the hobby is expanding the collection and receiving bits and pieces in the post. So thank you very much once again. I hope you've enjoyed watching this as well, to all the viewers. If you have and you'd like to see more of this sort of thing going forward, please do consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. And whether you're newly subscribing or you've previously subscribed, please do make sure you hit the little bell, the little notification button down below, and that will of course alert you when I upload future videos. If you really like my uploads and you'd like to support the channel, you can. Both Patreon and PayPal are linked down below, and a huge thank you as ever to everybody who supports the channel using those two methods. It's really appreciated, as I always say. If you'd like to follow the channel on social media, you can. Facebook, Instagram and Twitter are all linked down below. And if you'd like to get in touch but don't really use social media, there is of course an email address down there as well. But that's everything for this video, so until next time, bye for now.